Every species that survives long enough eventually reaches a threshold, a moment when the instincts that once ensured survival begin to hold it back. For humanity, that moment is now. We've come a long way, from small tribes gathered around firelight to a civilization connected by satellites and artificial intelligence. But the world we've built now demands something we still haven't fully done: to outgrow ancient faith. Not the kind of faith that means hope or trust in one another, but the supernatural beliefs that once comforted us, beliefs that now keep us chained to the past. Religion once helped us make sense of the unknown, face our fears, and create social order. But today, as science and reason illuminate what was once mysterious, those same mental habits have become a barrier, not a guide. Continuing to organize our societies around unprovable stories is no longer just a harmless tradition, it's a risk. Because when belief replaces evidence, when prayer replaces action, we begin to lose the very skills that allowed us to survive and thrive in the first place. This is our moment of reckoning. Either we grow up, accepting the responsibility that comes with understanding, or we let the comforting illusions of the past consume the future we've fought so hard to build. Faith was once a shelter, a way to make sense of chaos, to feel safe in a world that often felt unpredictable and cruel. But what once protected us has slowly turned into something that endangers us all. It's no longer innocent when people choose prayer over medicine. It's no longer harmless when leaders claim divine guidance instead of data. And it's no longer just tradition when nations go to war believing they're chosen by God. These aren't isolated tragedies. They're symptoms of a mindset that values belief over truth. Faith, once a coping mechanism, has become a reason not to grow up, not to question, not to take responsibility. And in a world as interconnected as ours, that refusal to mature comes with consequences measured in lives lost and futures wasted. We can no longer afford to confuse comfort with wisdom, because faith that blinds us to evidence, that justifies suffering, that divides people into the saved and the damned, isn't sacred. It's dangerous. True courage isn't in defending old certainties. It's in facing uncertainty with open eyes. The moment we stop asking questions, we trade progress for stagnation and safety for illusion. Faith may once have helped us survive the darkness, but now, if we cling to it blindly, it will be the very thing that keeps us from seeing the light. Every step of human progress began with a question. What if the earth moves? What if lightning isn't a god's anger but a force of nature? What if we can fly, cure, or understand more than we ever thought possible? Curiosity is the spark of civilization, the engine that drives art, science, and every act of discovery. But faith, when taken as unquestionable truth, extinguishes that spark. When belief tells us we already have all the answers, questions become threats. Doubt becomes sin. And exploration, the very thing that makes us human, becomes forbidden. For centuries, progress has often advanced, not because of faith, but in spite of it. Every breakthrough, from evolution to space travel, has been met with resistance from those who feared what new knowledge might undo. Because blind faith doesn't protect truth, it protects power. Curiosity requires humility, the courage to admit, "I don't know." Faith demands certainty, the arrogance to say, "I already know." And when certainty wins over curiosity, humanity stops moving forward. The moment we stop asking why, the universe stops expanding, not out there, but within us. Faith may promise peace of mind, But curiosity offers something greater: the freedom to grow. If humanity is to keep evolving, we must choose the harder path: to question, to wonder, and to never again mistake ignorance for virtue.
For most of history, humans believed that life's meaning had to come from above, that without a God, everything would be empty and pointless. But what if that's backwards? What if the absence of a divine script isn't a loss, but a liberation? Meaning isn't handed down. It's created. It's born every time we love someone, build something, or face pain with courage. No sacred text can define what a smile means, what art means, or what it means to hold someone's hand as the world falls apart. When we stop looking for cosmic permission to matter, we start realizing that we already do. The stars don't need to care about us for our lives to have value. The universe doesn't need a plan for our moments to be profound. We are not lesser because there's no grand design. We are greater because we can write our own. Our stories, our kindness, our pursuit of truth, these are the meanings we build from the dust of stars. Maybe the real miracle isn't that a God made the universe for us, but that in this vast, indifferent cosmos, we still choose to care, to create, to love. We don't need eternity to make life meaningful. All we need is the courage to find purpose in the brief, beautiful time we're given. Every idea should be open to question, because that's how truth survives. But religion created something no other human system dares to: beliefs that cannot be touched. When an idea becomes sacred, it stops evolving. It can no longer be challenged, improved, or corrected, even when evidence shatters its foundation. And once people believe that questioning equals blasphemy, they stop thinking altogether. That's how power hides, behind holiness. Kings once ruled by divine right. Priests decided who could speak, who could learn, who could live or die, all in the name of unchallengeable truth. It wasn't reason that gave them power, it was obedience disguised as faith. Even today, the same pattern repeats. Leaders claim moral authority by invoking God. Movements demand silence instead of dialogue. And billions of people are told that doubt is dangerous, that truth is whatever the pulpit declares. But truth doesn't need protection. Only lies do. If something is true, questioning it will only make it stronger. If it crumbles under scrutiny, it deserves to fall. When belief becomes untouchable, it stops serving humanity and starts controlling it. And the first act of freedom, the first real step toward wisdom, is daring to ask the one forbidden question: what if they're wrong? For centuries, we've been told that without God, we'd have no reason to be good, that morality exists only because someone in the sky is keeping score. But if the only thing stopping us from doing harm is fear of punishment, then that's not morality, it's obedience. Real goodness doesn't come from threats. It comes from empathy, from understanding that another person's pain matters as much as our own. We don't need divine surveillance to feel compassion, or cosmic rewards to act with kindness. Children show mercy long before they know the name of any God. If morality depended on religion, then the faithful would be flawless, and the godless would be monsters. But the world tells a different story. There are believers who commit cruelty in the name of their faith, and atheists who dedicate their lives to healing others. Morality is not written in scripture. It's written in the human heart, shaped by evolution, empathy, and shared experience. It's the quiet voice that says, "I wouldn't want this done to me." No divine command could make that feeling more real. When we free ethics from fear, we discover something deeper. That being good isn't about pleasing a God, but about caring for each other simply because we can. That's not rebellion. That's humanity at its best. Faith often begins as comfort, a way to make sense of suffering, to feel that everything happens for a reason. But when that comfort becomes a substitute for action, it turns into something darker. How many times have we heard, "It's in God's hands," while the hands that could change things remain still? How many disasters are called tests of faith instead of failures of human responsibility? Faith can become a kind of anesthesia, numbing our sense of duty, blinding us to the causes we could fix if we dared to face them. It tells us that injustice will be corrected in another world, so we tolerate it in this one. It promises eternal answers, so we stop asking the questions that matter now. When belief becomes a shield against reality, truth turns into an inconvenience. People deny science, reject evidence, and rewrite facts to fit what feels holy. And in doing so, they trade the real world, with all its pain and possibility, for a comforting illusion. But reality doesn't disappear just because we close our eyes. Every time we choose faith over responsibility, we hand over the power to change our fate. The world doesn't need more prayers for miracles. It needs people who understand that we are the miracle, capable of reason, compassion, and change. If only we stop waiting for permission from the sky. Faith, when untouchable, doesn't just numb responsibility. It blocks truth. It shields ideas from scrutiny, discourages curiosity, and tells generations that questioning is betrayal. And the cost isn't abstract. It's real. Entire communities suffer when decisions are made based on ancient texts instead of evidence. Children are denied proper education. Women are denied autonomy. Medical progress is delayed, censored, or outright forbidden. Faith also divides. It carves the world into believers and non-believers, the saved and the damned, the chosen and the rejected. These divisions are not natural. They are taught. And taught well, they foster fear, suspicion, and conflict. Neighbors become enemies. Strangers become threats. Empathy shrinks to those within the group, while hostility is justified for everyone else. History is littered with violence in faith's name: wars, colonization, persecution, genocide. Even when religion preaches love, the underlying message remains: we hold the truth, others are wrong. That mindset doesn't inspire cooperation. It enforces hierarchy. It turns curiosity into heresy, doubt into sin, and dialogue into division. Faith can offer comfort, but comfort at the cost of reality and unity is a dangerous trade. To survive, humanity must outgrow systems that obstruct knowledge and foster conflict. We must choose truth over tradition, evidence over superstition, and connection over inherited divisions. Because the world won't wait for our myths to catch up. Reality doesn't negotiate with sacred stories. It demands action. Outgrowing faith isn't about abandoning values. It's about claiming them for ourselves. It's about understanding that morality isn't handed down from above, but built from empathy, reason, and lived experience. Faith often delays accountability. It tells us that suffering has divine purpose, that injustice will be corrected in another life. But if we believe that, we stop acting here and now. We defer responsibility, and the world suffers. True moral maturity comes when we face reality fully, when we recognize that this life, with all its fragility, uncertainty, and beauty, is the only one we can act in. We make choices not because we fear punishment or hope for reward, but because we understand their consequences for others. Freedom is inseparable from responsibility. We can't be truly free while outsourcing our ethics to invisible authorities. We can't grow while hiding behind dogma, pretending obedience equals virtue. We gain courage by thinking critically, by questioning assumptions, by challenging traditions that no longer serve humanity. When we take responsibility, we also take power. The power to build societies guided by evidence, compassion, and justice. The power to create meaning without myths. The power to shape a future we can understand and improve. Outgrowing faith is not arrogance. It's maturity. It's the moment humanity steps fully into its own mind, its own hands, its own heart, and accepts the challenge of shaping a better world for itself. The time has come to face a simple truth. Faith, as we've known it, has become a barrier. Not because belief itself is evil, but because clinging to untested, unquestionable ideas slows progress, divides people, and endangers lives. Humanity has grown beyond the world in which myths were necessary. We no longer need supernatural explanations for lightning, disease, or the stars. We don't need divine permission to act ethically, to care for others, or to create meaning. Science, empathy, reason, and imagination are enough. More than enough. Outgrowing faith doesn't leave us empty. It sets us free. Free to take responsibility for our actions. Free to seek knowledge without fear. Free to build societies rooted in truth, fairness, and compassion, rather than obedience to invisible authority. The challenges we face, climate change, pandemics, artificial intelligence, global conflict, will not wait while we cling to comforting illusions. Survival demands courage, critical thinking, and collaboration grounded in reality. It demands that we act, here and now, without counting on intervention from above. We inherit a species capable of astonishing things. Decoding the genome, landing probes on comets, healing disease, exploring the cosmos. None of it required faith, only curiosity, effort, and honesty. The next stage of human progress calls for the same: moral courage, intellectual rigor, and the willingness to face reality. It's time to step off the crutches of myth. It's time to build a future guided by evidence, empathy, and responsibility. The world is moving forward. The question is, will we move with it?